Hello beautiful people, I'm back with another card deck review for you. This time we're going to take a look at Colette Baron-Reid's brand new deck, the Dreamweaver's Oracle. This has been illustrated by Joel McNamara, which she has worked with through quite a few of her other decks as well. But this deck has only been out a couple of weeks, and so I thought it'd be ideal for us to take a closer look at it. It is a 44 card deck. Let's take a squiz at the guidebook itself. It is, as you can see, a decent thickness of a guidebook. And Colette actually shares a bit about how this Oracle deck came to be, and a little bit even about how her decks, as a general rule, come to be for her. Then she also talks a bit about how to start to work with an Oracle deck. And she gives you a little prayer there to as a way to connect to your deck. So just a suggestion. Talks about how to ask the right questions when working with Oracle decks. Of course, how to read the cards. And then there's a couple of little card spreads that she suggests. So we've got the 1 card reading, a 2 card reading, and 2 versions of a 3 card reading that is there for you as well. So they're not complicated spreads, but sometimes I think that not being complicated is the best thing as well. Then she talks a bit about how this oracle will actually serve you. And so with each of her decks, she actually, once they've been created, she actually draws 2 cards, asking how will this oracle deck serve the highest good for everyone who comes to it for guidance. And then she shares a bit about the 2 cards that she got for this particular deck. So you can have a read of that in the guidebook. And then she dives into the cards themselves and their meanings. So as I said, there's 44 cards in this particular deck. Each one is numbered and it has a statement for each card. And I really like her statements. I think sometimes it's a little bit nicer than just perhaps having the word gratitude or just having a keyword. And her statements are a little bit unique and creative and inspired, I feel. She has some essential meanings, so it's like some key phrases in connection to each card. So if you just want a really quick idea about what that card means, then this is where you can refer. But then she also expands, so there's an expanded meaning for each card as well. And some of the cards have suggestions like perhaps meditate on this thought to see what comes up for you, and a few little simple things like that that you might find. So each card has it's about 1.5 pages to 2 pages per card. So, you know, there's certainly decent enough information there. And I don't know, I'm a fan of Colette Baron-Reid's work. I find her wisdom and the way she expresses herself to be really lovely, very insightful. So I really enjoy the information that comes through in this deck as previous decks of hers. And as you can see, it goes along in the same fashion through the rest of the guidebook, just covering all of the cards. Let's dive into the cards themselves next. So as you can see, it is what I tend to call a nice sized card deck, where it is just a little bit bigger than your hand. So it's not too big to be able to handle, in my opinion. The back is really pretty. I love the dragons that are on the back, and it's like night sky kind of vision, very pretty. Now the imagery on the front I find is really quite unique to this deck. It's unlike other decks that I've seen, really. I love her little statements that are kind of hidden through all the cards or depicted through the cards. The colouring is really lovely. To me, this deck has a little bit of a tribal energy about it, the way that the imagery is depicted. And she does explain a bit about that in the guidebook itself, why it is depicted in the way it is. And that's due to how it's come through in her dreams, etc. How the deck itself was channeled. So do have a bit of a read of that in the guidebook if you decide to get this deck. Of course, it's really interesting. I don't want to give everything away. As you can see, the colouring is lovely. Some of the statements, like a firebird is called to soar, when the grit becomes a pearl, for the wind that blows our sails. Like some really lovely statements. And it really, look, this deck really has like that kind of dreamy energy about it. There's so much to see in every card. You could really use this deck for doing meditation focuses as well. I'm sure if you meditated on one of these cards, you would actually find a lot that would come up. Maybe a lot of symbology that would kind of leap out at you. And as I've only played with this deck a little bit, I'm sure the more that you played with it, the more symbology, the more the cards would speak to you, and maybe even bring through more than what we have seen in the guidebook itself. And I really love that, where it kind of gives space for your intuition to really start to flow and work for you through the decks. So that is essentially our Dreamweaver's Oracle. If you have already grabbed yourself this deck, I would love to hear how you've been finding working with it. Even just from this flip through, would love to hear your thoughts, how you think that it would work, or if you think it's a really lovely deck. Would love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget that you can purchase this through Mystical Dragon. We have an e-store and we have a store that you can walk into to make your purchases. Our stores also have not just oracle decks, but tarot decks, books, your witchcraft items, crystals, jewelry. There's loads of beautiful things that you can find there. Our store is in Seaford, Victoria, Australia, and our e-store is on our website, mysticaldragon.com.au. You'll find a tab there for our e-store and also our college, and a few other beautiful things on there as well. So do drop us some feedback if you are feeling called to down the bottom. Otherwise, I will look forward to bringing you another deck really soon.